So the other day, some more information came out about this Terence Crawford and Sebastian Fundora situation, where Bud is like the mandatory for Fundora, and Fundora said he wants to fight Crawford and all of this stuff. And they were negotiating because WBO was like, you have to come to an agreement about the price of the fight before a certain date, or we're going to call it off and just do a purse bid and see, let the best bidder bid for the fight, and then you're not going to have this fight. Okay? So what happened is, apparently, Terence Crawford and Sebastian Fundora came to a agreement that Sebastian Fundora could fight a voluntary before fighting Bud. Once he fights this voluntary, if he wins the fight, he's got to come straight back to the negotiation table with Bud. And whoever wins that fight, they've got to come to the negotiation table with Bud. Bud has got a WBA title. He's a whole champion himself. How can a champion be mandatory for another title? How does that work? Well, let's talk about that. First, we have to recap. So, Terence Crawford won the WBO title at 135, 140, and 147. So, him being such a prevalent member of the WBO championship situation, it gave him this super WBO status. So this means any weight class he goes to, he can then just fight the champion straight away. Usyk had the same situation when he went up to heavyweight. He could have fought Anthony Joshua straight away, but he wanted to acclimatize to the weight. That's why he had all them fights before he would fought Anthony Joshua. But he could have fought Anthony Joshua his first fight. And Bud had already done that, going from 140 up to 147, where he fought Jeff Horn straight away for his title, which was the WBO. And now going up from 147 to 54, he had the opportunity to do it again because he's the super champion. Even though he's gone and won this belt, which was the WBA title, which made him an actual champion at 154, he still had that situation where he is still the number one contender for Fundora, who has the WBO title. But if we remember, when Fundora won the title against Tim Tszyu, who came into the ring and talking about they're going to fight Fundora next? Good old battered and bruised, licking his wounds, Errol Spence Jr. Talking about he's now going to fight Sebastian Fundora for his WBO title. I think he had the WBC as well because he's somehow unified. I don't know how he's unified champion. I'm going to go back into the archives and find that out. But I know he didn't beat no WBC champion because the WBC champion relinquished the belts after getting his self beaten up by Canelo, which was Jamel Charlo. So that was a vacant title, which apparently must have just got thrown into the mix when he fought Tim Tszyu. So going back to the story, Bud beats Errol, goes up, beats Madrimov, becomes WBA champion, but still has the WBO mandatory situation at his disposal. Errol gets in the ring after Sebastian Fundora beats Tim Tszyu. And Fundora's manager says, yeah, we're going to fight Errol Spence next. Crawford's going to have to wait because we're going to fight Spence first. Now, this makes no sense, man. It makes no sense, man. This is where the soft guy era in this boxing situation comes into fruition once again. Why are you fighting a little man who just got banged up badly? He just got, his last fight, he got battered and bruised to a pulp. This guy looked like he needed to retire. His face was so mangled. I don't even know how this man even looks normal today. I don't even know how them bruises healed. But you want to fight him. Instead of fighting the guy that beat him, who is also a little man coming up into your division, you're supposed to want to fight that guy, not the guy that he beat. What are you trying to prep for him or something? These guys are smaller than you, bruv. You're supposed to be fighting straight away the champion. The guy that beat the guy that you want to fight. That's who you're supposed to be fighting. And he's also a champion as well. So that also gets you another belt once you beat him. So you'll be even more unified. And then you'll be one belt away from undisputed. Why are you trying to fight Errol Spence? Just because he's a PBC fighter? I don't get it. Errol Spence should not have been allowed to have this fight. But the WBO have allowed Terence Crawford to do the step aside thing. Cool. So then I'm seeing the news on Twitter and all this stuff, and Dan Raphael says per source. Dan Raphael loves talk about sauce. I don't know if he's talking about ketchup or HP sauce or brown sauce or some burger sauce. I don't know, but he loves talk about sauce. Per source, with WBO 154 titleist Fundora and interim titleist Crawford facing 4 p.m. Eastern Time Thursday deadline, a purse bid being scheduled for mandatory. Camps notified WBO on Wednesday they're okay with Fundora doing voluntary next and then renewing talks for Fundora Crawford. WBO hasn't ruled yet. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. He's stepping aside. That's fine. I wonder why he's stepping aside. To be fair, I don't know why he's stepping aside. I don't know. Maybe he wants another fight with somebody else. I don't know. We're going to see what happens with Crawford going forward. But then, after that tweet comes from Dan Raphael, he then makes another tweet. And he says, WBO tells me, this time he doesn't say sources if he didn't say per source. He just went straight. WBO tells me they will accept this, but Fundora optional cannot be versus Spence. He is not in the top 15 rankings. Keep in mind, Fundora could vacate the WBO and still has WBC, which could approve Spence. Now, the WBC are so shady, they approve anything. They're always about, just everywhere trying to latch onto this, latch onto that, latch onto this, latch onto that. The WBC are very shady, and they could easily give Spence a ranking so that he could fight for the WBC title. And the WBO will then go straight to Terence Crawford. But I don't think Terence Crawford wants to win the belt by email. I don't think he wants that. He wants to fight for the belt, in my opinion. But this is going a bit mad right now because now he can't defend that WBO against Errol Spence. And if he has the fight and then says, I'm not doing the WBO will say, why did you not put that up for contention? Oh yeah, because you are not allowed to fight anybody that's not in the top 15 as our champion. So how come you fought somebody that's not in the top 15? We're stripping you. Give me that belt. Here, Crawford, take that. That's yours now because this guy is acting like a little punk and he don't want to fight you. He tried to dodge you to fight the guy that you banged up. But he's not in our top 15, so we can't sanction that. So you have to have this belt. That might be the way it goes. Who knows? At the same time, what's Crawford going to do in the meantime? In the mean and between time? Because obviously now Fundora's not fighting him. And Fundora was never going to fight him, even though he said all of this stuff that, oh, I want to fight Crawford. He was saying all of that. But his manager done told everybody that Crawford's going to have to wait because we are going to fight Spence next. And that was the time when he beat Tim Tszyu. I think that was back in April, March, them times there. And it was said, he said it, Samson Lukowicz, his name is, some stuff like that. He said that. And so it's so said, so done. Now they've begged Crawford to step aside because Crawford ain't going to just step aside. And Crawford ain't going to say to them, do you know what, do you want us to step aside? No. They're going to ask Crawford to step aside. That's what happened. They said, Crawford, please, I beg you do. Just step aside. Because right now, I can't afford for you to bang up my fighter like that. Samson Lukowicz I'm talking about. I can't afford for you to smash my fighter to pieces. Yeah? So let us defend this thing once at least. Give us a chance to actually defend the fact that we're unified champion. And then you can fight him after that. Please. Please, my friend. Here's a couple mil. Hold that as well. I don't know if they gave him any money. It hasn't stated that he's taken any step aside money. I'm just hypothesizing. Take this little change. Yeah, look, here's 2-3 mil. Sit down for a bit. Make a couple more babies and that. And trust, come back. Next year, we'll make this fight. Next summer, next winter, we'll make this fight. Because these PBC fighters, they only fight once a year, if anything. If they fight twice a year, they're busy. Like that. Do you know, like that? So, yeah, this is a strange one. This is like what's happened at the moment. And I'm looking at this thinking, what's gonna happen? Who's Bud gonna fight? Is he still trying to get this Canelo fight? I don't know. Canelo's still trying to chase Bivol. Plus, there's a rumor going around that Canelo is gonna co-main event with Inoue in Japan in December on Christmas Eve. He does want to fight at the end of the year, so this is perfectly timed as a schedule. Bivol's like obviously having his fight on the 12th, which is Saturday coming. I mean, it's all a bit messy and it's ever flowing. I've always said to you, boxing is so ever changing. And this is a prime example. So I'll keep an eye on this situation. I'll watch this space. But what we do know is that the WBO will not sanction the fight with Errol Spence Jr. and Sebastian Fundora. So let's see what happens with that WBO belt. We might turn around all of a sudden. Crawford is a unified champion in the 154 division without even having a fight. It's mad. We'll see what happens. I'll see you guys in the next video.